Welcome back to our series of videos on the subject of work. If you've tuned in over the last couple of intro videos, you'll know that we're going to think first about God's good design for work. So in this first one, work is good, first of all, I want to suggest, because God himself works. Some of you might remember a film from 2008, an animated film called Wall-E. It was a cute story about a robot whose job it was to clean up the world. Human beings had made such a mess of the earth that they'd been evacuated so that robots could sort out the earth before they came back to repopulate it. And in the film, we're taken to a kind of high-tech space station ship thing where humans live. But while they wait, they're being waited on. Their every need and desire is met by a team of robots. And as a result, these humans become bloated couch potatoes. It's a really interesting film because it highlights that doing nothing is dehumanizing. We weren't created as human beings to do nothing. God made us with work in mind. But Genesis in the Bible, the first book in the Bible, is pretty unique in creation narratives, in portraying God doing the work of a master craftsman and creation itself as being wonderfully good. God himself is not a couch potato who is lounging around doing nothing. And I want to suggest that there are four simple things that seem to leap off the pages of Genesis when we think about the work that God does. First of all, God is wonderfully creative. You may know of a famous British designer called William Morris. He lived through the 1800s. He's a textile designer, an artist. And he famously said in a speech he once gave in Birmingham, "If you want a golden rule that will fit everybody, this is it. Have nothing in your houses that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful." I think the book of Genesis conveys the colourful, vibrant imagination of a God who loves to create what is both useful and beautiful. God is portrayed in Genesis as being the original artist. But secondly, God is carefully organised. Right at the beginning of Genesis chapter 1, the creation is portrayed as being shapeless and empty. And God then sets about ordering that shapelessness and creating it into a something and then filling that something. God is portrayed in the early chapters of Genesis as the great orderer and filler. He's the original project planner. And the third thing that I want to highlight from Genesis is that God is relational. God is not alone in his work. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, there's a little hint here when God says, "Let us make man in our image." Here is a God who is Father, Son, and Spirit, working with wonderful harmony and unity. Here in Genesis is original teamwork. Fourthly, I want to suggest that God is positively cheerful. I do want you to notice in Genesis the delight that God takes in his own work. It is as if God stands back and looks over his own handiwork and he makes value judgments on it. And repeatedly, God comes to the conclusion that what he saw was good. By the end, when God created humans as the crowning glory of his craftsmanship, we hear God standing back and saying, "No, that is very good. It's really good. It's excellent." Here then is also the original job satisfaction. So in Genesis, we read of an incredible God who loves his work. He's creative. He loves to organize and fill. He's relational, and he takes satisfaction in the work that he does. Tim Keller, in his book Every Good Endeavour, says this: "In the beginning then, God worked. Work was not a necessary evil that came into the picture later or something human beings were created to do, but that was beneath the great God himself. No, God worked for the sheer joy of it. And work could not have had a more exalted inauguration. I think all of this means that when we read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, that God created human beings in his own image, we can't miss the sense that we humans are created to do the same kind of creative, imaginative, joyful, relational, satisfying work that God himself does. As God's image bearers, when we work, we reflect something of his great glory. So our first reason that work is good is because God himself works. Tune in next time to find out reason number 2. Thanks for watching.